Hey everyone, good afternoon and welcome to this episode of Join Momentum's Launch and Learn podcast series. So today we are going to be delving into a rather important topic on fostering psychological safety for high performing agile teams. Now, just by way of quick introduction, my name is Clara Rufai. I'm a Scrum Master and a Delivery Manager. And in this episode of Launch and Learn, I am going to be your host, and I am super excited to share with you how, as a Scrum Master, you can, be very focal or be very useful in helping to build highly effective teams. And that is simply by fostering a psychologically safe work environment for your team members. And as I progress, you'll get to know a little bit more about this. Now, in terms of scope of coverage, I just want to say what we're going to be covering today, right? We're going to be looking at why psychological safety matters. First of all, what is psychological safety and why does it matter? Why does psychological safety matter? And we're also going to be looking at a few, high level statistics, because statistics are like stories, stories inspire, stories connect, stories make facts more memorable, more rememberable. So we're just going to be looking at some light touch statistics on psychological safety. We will also be looking at, the Scrum Master's role. You as a Scrum Master, what is your role in fostering, building, nurturing psychological safety? And obviously, I'll be sharing some strategies as well to help cultivate psychological safety in your teams, and also sharing a plan, sort of like an action plan for going forward, for continuing compliance, because psychological, safety is very important. Now, I'm sure you've heard before of the concept of psychological safety, because it's one of those things, right, that has been thrown around a lot in recent years. You hear the concept, people talk about psychological safety, and it is possible that sometimes, because of how much it is bandied around as a word or as a phrase, a lot of people may not know what it means. Why would I feel unsafe in the workplace? Why is it important? But it is very important, especially in the tech industry, in any sort of team, but especially in the tech industry, and especially in agile teams, because of the agile ways of working, right? It is thought, psychological safety is not thought, is known to actually have a significant impact on team performance. It is known to have a significant impact on team performance. So let's proceed and talk a little bit more about what it means. What does psychological safety even mean? And if I'm to define what psychological, or talk about what psychological safety means, I'm going to start by probably sharing with you a little bit about my experience as a Scrum Master and as a delivery manager at Join Momentum. Now, Join Momentum is a world-class skills development and digital agency, right? And our focus at Join Momentum is on, developing individuals, empowering individuals, and also partnering with businesses to help them scale, right? Join Momentum offers a work experience program for career transitioners, job seekers, adult learners, people looking to graduate, new graduates, and anyone basically looking to go into tech or establish a career in tech or in the digital technology space. Now, for individuals, the programs that we offer, include confidence building, portfolio development. There's also coaching and mentoring. Of course, all of that ties into, all of that feeds into the confidence building that we offer. There is mentoring, and what's most important, there's actually a real life, real world project experience. So, yeah, you can imagine with what I've just described that enjoying momentum, our teams are, in a sense, multidisciplinary. Our teams are, we can have all kinds of people who are very confident, who almost have a certain level of expertise, and also people who are inexperienced and just at the beginning of their career. So why am I saying this? I say this to say that the team that we work with, the team that I work with at Join Momentum, is a team made up of some really amazing people. All of them are very, very passionate about their work. They want to do their best. They want to bring their best to the table. So for me, I've found that, the team there is the environment there is a great learning environment. Standards are high. Don't get me wrong, standards are high, the expectations are high. But because there is a learn as you do culture at Join Momentum, people feel free. People feel, at liberty to be vulnerable. People feel at liberty to learn, to fail, and to, what they say, fail forward. When your failings cause you to learn a lesson, cause you to learn a way not to do something another time, then it's not a failure in a sense, it's a failing forward. When we think about how many times, how many trials had to go into the making of a light bulb as we know it, over 1,000 trials, if I recall. And eventually we have the light bulb as we know it. That's because the person never gave up, and they continued to do. And each time there was a failure, they continued to learn how not to do it the next time. So that's Join Momentum's environment for you. And that is the kind of environment that will, how do I put it, that will enable a sense of safety in the individuals that work there. The truth is, when people feel comfortable expressing themselves, they are more likely to collaborate effectively. They are more likely to be innovative, to be creative in the solutions they come forward with. They are also more open to receiving feedback because they know it's not coming from a place of judgment, right? Now, all of these things are key to making improvements on a project, or indeed across an organization or across a team. So, going forward, what is psychological safety? The role rather of psychological safety. The role of psychological safety cannot be overemphasized. And I want to say that it's not just a buzzword, it's actually a fundamental pillar, of high performing teams, especially agile teams. Psychological safety in the workplace is like, just imagine that you are, how do I put this? Just imagine that you are creating a cozy campfire or a warm blanket, where members can feel comfortable sharing their ideas, taking risks, being themselves without freaking out about negative stuff, about being thrown under the bus. This is really super important. It may seem like it's a no-brainer, but it's not. And it's super important because it's only when team members, people in a team, feel safe, that they become more open. Now, I once worked in a team where we had, as usual, as is usually the case with most agile teams, or most, teams where in the tech world, we kind of attract different people from different backgrounds with different accents. Now, there was this particular young lady who, even if I say so myself, she was actually very brilliant and very good at what she did. She knew her stuff clearly. But I sensed, and call me intuitive, but I sensed that she was a bit self-conscious about her accent and the way that she spoke. I'm not going to mention what part of the world she's from, because it really doesn't matter. The fact is, all of us can, obviously, a lot of us have accents, a lot of us have a way that we speak. And for her, I sensed that I came to a point in the project, in the course of the project, when I sensed that she was self-conscious about the way that she spoke. And I noticed that she started to speak up less and less often. So what I did was organized. I wanted to create, sort of like an enabling environment. So what I did was, at one of our meetings, at our next meeting, I just basically came straight out and made the team to understand that, hey, look, listen, I don't know it all. No one knows it all. Come as you are, and diversity is to be celebrated. I made that point very clear. We all spoke up, everyone shared their views. And of course, when it was time for her to share her view, she did share that she felt relieved because she felt like she didn't quite belong. She felt like she was being judged. And it's a good thing that I was able to notice that at the beginning of that project, because she would have gone on to not be able to give her best had I not handled that at that in that way. So yes, it is very, very, very important, psychological safety. And that is basically the belief, that belief that you know that team members in a team have, that the team, the rest of the team members are there to protect them rather than judge them, rather than put them down. It means feeling safe enough to know that you can share your ideas. It means feeling safe enough to ask questions when you need to try new things, even without fear of being judged or penalized for doing so. It may work, it may not work. If it doesn't work, you look for another creative way of solving the problem. So psychological safety does actually lead to better communication, better collaboration between team members, which means they will take more risks with their work. They will push the envelope, they will come up with innovative solutions. And when people are safe in their workplace, they can be, happier overall. What that means then is that they are more productive, they feel more fulfilled, and of course, the employee retention rate is higher. Once there is continuity, sprint after sprint, project after project, that of course leads to a situation, the ideal situation where members of a team feel like they are part of one big family looking to take on the world. And for you to have a team that is that engaged and that excited to take on the problems that are before you, sprint after sprint or project after project, that can mean a lot, to a scrum master. That is heaven for a scrum master. So yes, it's all about creating an environment where people feel like they can trust each other and that they can let their true selves shine. So it totally tells you, this is not a place where you'll be judged. Feel free, come as you are. Diversity is celebrated. We want to hear your voice. All those things really, really, really matter. And I have been part of, work environments where psychological safety hasn't quite worked well. And I've also inspired teams and led teams where psychological safety has been, top of the burner, so to speak. So those statistics I talked about, right? Just light touch statistics. Let's take a look at light touch statistics to highlight the benefits, if you like, of psychological safety. These are just names that you would have heard about. For instance, the Harvard Business Review says that cognitive diversity, that is different ways of seeing things, different perceptions, different perspectives. The Harvard Business Review said that this leads to better problem solving, as if we didn't already know it. Like, it's a no-brainer. It does really work out that way. And also McKinsey and Company also found that diversity of thought, again, different perspectives from different people bringing different things to the table, diversity of thought actually leads to better decision making. And what about Deloitte, who found that in terms of emotional closeness, where teams or team members feel emotionally close and bonded, it actually leads to higher levels of engagement and employee retention rates. So these things are, have been tried and tested, so to speak. There's another study by Bain and Company that has also found that high performing teams are five times more likely to have employees who feel psychologically safe. And of course, conversely, when people feel psychologically safe, they retain their jobs, they stay in their jobs longer. So another study also found 91%. So see the high markers there. 91% of employees who feel psychologically unsafe are likely to leave their job within 2 years. I think they will leave in less than 2 years, to be honest, because if they're not happy where they are, if they don't feel like they're adding value or or being appreciated or celebrated. Everyone wants to feel celebrated. Bring it home to your relationships, your friendships, anything that you're doing, that you're engaged in, any group or subgroup that you're a part of. You want to feel like your voice matters. You want to feel like, people want to hear what you have to say. People are interested in your opinion. So anybody who feels like that's not the case, and think of how many hours we spend, the average person spends in a workplace, for you to not feel safe psychologically, then you're not going to be obviously giving your very best in that case. So these are all the reasons why psychological safety really and truly matters. But there are barriers to everything. To every ideal situation, there will always be barriers. So there are, of course, barriers that can inhibit or limit, or what shall I say, yeah, sort of like make it difficult to build psychological safety in teams. Those barriers exist, right? So let's talk about some of them. What is it that can hinder? Maybe even think of your own situation, and if anything is coming to your mind right now, maybe an experience you've had on a current, you're having on a current project, or you've had in a past project, or a past environment, or a team where you've worked before. Think about a time when you probably did not feel celebrated, you did not feel like you mattered, you did not feel like you were important. Think about how that made you feel. Probably share your thoughts, in the comment box. And if this is making any sense, if this is resonating in any way, do please let me know. Share an emoji or something. So, but there are barriers that can hinder the development of psychological safety in the work environment, and these can include anything from personality clashes, where two or three, or however many number of people don't get along, where there are clashes between team members, or between team members and managers, or managers who don't understand their team members, or scrum masters who don't know how to express, or how to engage with their team members. All of those things are possible. But there are some major barriers that I want to talk about today. One of them is lack of trust. One of them is lack of trust between team members. When team members feel like, they cannot trust the next person on the team, like they are I, me, and myself, that kind of feeling, where you don't feel like you can trust your team members, then you are definitely going to feel unsafe. You're going to be closed in. You're going to not be open and collaborative in your approach. This is a fact. You are not going to feel like you want to speak up as much as you should. There is also a lack of communication between team members, which is why teams that are almost, how do I put it? The teams that are laid back, maybe not laid back, friendly, teams that are friendly tend to get more work done. Teams that are stuffy, how do I put it? They're stuffy, full of themselves, arrogant, and teams that take themselves too seriously tend not to get as much work done as teams that are open and friendly and down to earth. So there could be disagreements over roles. There could be disagreements over responsibilities, who's done what, who has not done what, who has failed to do what. There could be a lack of clarity. That's another point. A lack of clarity around the expectations of what good performance means. So I don't know if I'm hitting the mark or not, because my team leader has not let me know clearly that this is a tick and this is not a tick. This is good and this is not good. That's not to restrict anyone in any way and say that you cannot make your mistakes. But if you know what the markers are, what the yardsticks are that you are working towards, of course, it goes a whole long way. Then there's also the fear of failure. And that shows up for most of us, even in our personal lives, in our relationships. You don't want to fall flat on your face. So you feel like you are safer or better off just keeping to yourself and not trying new things. But what that happens is that it leads to a workforce that is basically hiding their mistakes, because mistakes will be made. We're human, right? There's nothing like perfection, progress over perfection. So imagine where mistakes are made and then people are trying to hide their mistakes, or they are trying to be so careful that they don't make mistakes altogether so that they don't get blamed. That's happening in any team. Trust me, that is a surefire way to make your team feel like, you know, they're not being heard. So imagine if people are taken up, as in people are called out, let me put it that way, for making a mistake. They're going to not want to try. They're going to want to shield or protect themselves from making mistakes in the future. So the blame culture is a no-no, is a no-no. Every Scrum Master should actually know this and do away with it. It's a no-no. It inhibits the work of your team and the amount of progress that you could be making potentially. So naming and shaming people, throwing team members under the bus, A has failed to do this, B has dropped the ball on this one. There are more productive, more creative ways and more enabling ways of making sure that a team is working. And for that matter, when teams are actually self-organizing, then that shouldn't be a problem at all. There's also a lack of accountability when people feel like they are not being held accountable for their actions, and then it's a case of anything goes, right? They can start making decisions based on what they think will make them look good. So it now becomes more about looking good. It now becomes about posturing. It now becomes about looking a certain way, projecting themselves a certain way, to look almost perfect, as opposed to just being themselves and doing what is best for the project as a whole. What is best for the team? What is best for the project as a whole? Yet another common barrier is when team members feel that their opinion doesn't matter. Now, you could be a team leader or a scrum master in a project, and contrary to what you should be doing, you are basically, how do I put it, silencing members. You're interrupting when people are speaking. You don't let them fully flesh out their thoughts, much let alone speak their thoughts. All of those things, interrupting people, talking over people in meetings, is a no-no. And every Scrum Master, effective Scrum Master, every effective Scrum team knows that it is critical to have good listening skills. So not only do you want to be heard, but realize that just as you want to be heard, other members of the team want to be heard and deserve to be heard as well. So that is another thing that is really, really critical. So these are barriers that can hinder the efforts or the ability of a team leader or a Scrum Master to build, to nurture, and to support the continuing growth, if you like, of that concept of psychological safety. So going forward, moving on, I want to talk about the Scrum Master's role. Maybe you're the Scrum Master on a team. Maybe you are the team leader in some other capacity. What is your role? What do you reckon is your role in all of this? We've said a lot about what psychological safety is, why it is critical, why it is important, but what is your role? I am a Scrum Master, and I know that part of my role is basically to be the servant leader for the group. And I know that I'm supposed to be approachable so that people can come to me with their concerns, with problems, because part of what I do, right, is to get rid of blockers, to make sure that the team is, whether they're internal blockers or external blockers, to make sure that the team is working at its optimal best, that the team is as effective as it can be. I try to remove blockers and just give the team an enabling environment, right, in which they can work and focus and thrive. So you're the Scrum Master. You are the superhero behind the scenes, like you're the champion, the behind the scenes of much of the development work that goes on in your organization. You're sitting there You're seeing everything that's going on. You are relating with the stakeholders, with the product owner. You're relating with the team members, the dev team, with everybody is basically within your radar. You're the servant leader, you're the coach. You wield a significant influence in shaping your team's success. That is clear, right? Now, given that profound impact or profound influence that you have, and also the profound impact that psychological safety has on a team, and how we've talked all those things, beautiful things that we've said, that where people feel psychologically safe, all the good things, all the good benefits that we've already talked about, you as a scrum master, you as the person who is responsible for ensuring your team's success, you should be all over it. You should learn about psychological safety, understand exactly what it is. You should believe in it, right? You should implement it. And not only that, you should nudge every one of your team members towards psychological safety. So just as they want to feel psychologically safe, enable them to understand. Part of what you do is teaching, coaching, right? So enable them to understand that they also have a role to play in crafting this ideal environment of psychological safety that we all want and we all know is so critical to teamwork, right? So thankfully, there are tried and tested strategies. I'm going to share some of them with you. There are tried and tested strategies that you can employ to nurture, to cultivate, and to continually enhance psychological safety within your teams. So, what are some of those strategies? What are the strategies for enabling psychological safety? I'll share some of them with you now. As a Scrum Master, I've already said you play a pivotal role in ensuring or in fostering psychological safety within your team. We've said that much, but there are some practices that you need to take on board. You need to keep doing or begin doing to ensure that this is not a walk up a hill for you. This is something that becomes part of you, part and parcel of the culture of your work environment. One of them is to share ideas to teach your team what psychological safety is. If they don't understand it and they don't understand the import of it, the importance of it, they're not going to work towards it. They're not going to desire it. So you have to present it in a way that, hey, listen, listen, team, this is important. This is desirable. And this is why it is desirable. This is how, working in a psychologically safe environment enables each of us to be more, do more, to achieve more. And together as a team, we're able to deliver better, we're able to be more productive and all of those things. So it's your job, right, to ensure that there is open brainstorming, that there is sharing of diverse viewpoints, that diversity is celebrated, because all of this will lead to better solutions, better innovations, more productive work from your team. And the second point that I want to talk about, the second strategy, is for you to lead by example. Listen, show vulnerability. No one knows it all. You are not, Voltron. You don't know it all. You can't solve every problem, certainly not alone by yourself, because what you do is provide that enabling environment so that if every single one of us in the team, every single one in the team comes from it, from the perspective of feeling able and capable to solve the problems that they have on their desk, on their table per time. And of course, they can always escalate if they're unable to do it alone or do it by themselves. That is there, not to knock that, but you have to give that ability or that enabling environment for people to feel that they are in control of their side of things. So leading by example, by showing vulnerability. Yes, vulnerability. Open up. Admit that you don't have the answers. Admit, because it's cool to be real. On a serious note, it's cool to be real and not stuffy all the time and not act like you know it all. And so by developing or by demonstrating that vulnerability and openness as a scrum master or as a team leader, you will be setting the tone for others to follow. Your team members will know that it's okay to be real. It's okay to fail and fail forward. It's okay to learn from your mistakes. Your willingness to admit that before the team, your willingness to admit uncertainty can encourage the team members to do the same. Hey, I'm not sure how, I don't know how to do this. I'm not too good with spreadsheets. I'm hopeless when it comes to this. Can you teach me? How can I get better at this? I'm hopeless with it. Just let people feel comfortable enough to admit when they don't know something, when there is a gap in their knowledge, because those are the points that you gather, to know how you can better support your team and help them grow, right? So a third strategy I want to discuss is seeking and welcoming feedback. This one is so critical because honest feedback, they said feedback is the breakfast of champions. There's a saying that says feedback is the breakfast of champions. Now, honest feedback is truly critical to for both for the individual and for team improvement. If as an individual I deliver a piece of work, and my team leader or fellow, my peers, my team members, fellow team members are able to give me critical yet constructive feedback, I can improve. I can take it and say, oh, yes, because no one sees it all. I can look at a different way that something could have been done to make it better. So having that feedback is critical. When team members feel safe, they are going to be more open to criticism. They'll understand it for what it is, that this is meant to be constructive. It is not meant to put them down. It is meant to actually help them thrive, and to do better and to improve their game, basically. The fourth strategy is active listening. You have to learn as a scrum master and as a team leader, you have to learn to listen like a pro. Listening is a skill that not many of us have perfected. I sometimes have been guilty of perhaps hearing somebody but not really listening or not really getting what it is that they're trying to say. And there are so many ways in which you can miss it on a team, on a project, if you're not careful. So learning to listen like a pro is very important. When teammates talk, when they're free to talk to you, when they speak to you or they come up to you to discuss things, giving your full attention is important. No interrupting, no shrugging them off, no dismissing their ideas, just pure listening awesomeness. Just listen. That's so important. By displaying that undivided attention, giving them that undivided attention, it tells the team members that you respect them. You're offering them the respect that they deserve, and that in turn then goes on to continue to build that environment of inclusivity where they feel like I belong. My voice counts, my voice matters, my presence in this team matters. And the fifth strategy is embracing diversity. I know we've mentioned that here and there in the course of this discussion, but embracing the beautiful differences in your team, accents, different backgrounds, different perceptions, different experiences, because different people are coming from different projects and teams that they may have worked at previously. Everyone has got something unique to offer, every single person. So by recognizing the value of diverse perspectives within a team, then you're encouraging that inclusive atmosphere that shows that every individual is appreciated for their strengths and their contributions, for what they bring to the table. This makes you, as a scrum master, actually more approachable. They know that they can walk up to you and share any concerns, share any feedback, and everyone will love you for it. You'll be the darling of the team. And when that happens, when that is the case, of course, you're obviously going to be delivering more, putting out more, being more productive. What about embracing failure? Make sure that people understand that it is okay to fail. And I know this is related to the other point about vulnerability, but make sure that people know it is okay to fail, because unless they know, they are going to think that there is punishment for failure. And if there's punishment for failure, the human psyche, the human mind wants to avoid punishment or pain. Then collaboration obviously builds teams. It builds trust in teams. It fosters trust in teams. It fosters team trust amongst each of the team members. That also leads to improved cooperation, improved teamwork as well. And then establishing team norms. What is it that every team, I believe this very strongly, that every team should have the rules of engagement. It's almost like a team charter. What are the rules that bind us? And I'm not talking about some old stuffy regulations, rules. No, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, let there be an understanding in and amongst team members that this is how we roll. right? We don't throw people under the bus. We are collaborative in our approach and in our thinking. We support each other. We speak up when we have issues of concern. We take work off other team members if we have to, just anything to make sure that the team works collaboratively and delivers on its goals. So having that established team norm, team charter, team culture is so important. Team up with your squad, set those ground rules, make them fun, light-hearted ground rules, but it actually tells them how you all want to engage with each other, how you want to communicate, speak with respect and regard for each other, how you want to treat each other, like some kind of a code of respect. It will go a long way. Collaboration goes a long way. So enforcing those team that kind of team culture will also obviously open the ground, open the room up for more engagement amongst the team members. Number nine, another ninth strategy is addressing conflicts, facing them head on, not sweeping them under the carpet or playing ostrich, hiding your head in the sand and your tail is exposed, pretending those problems don't exist. Face them head on. Not all conflict is bad. Some conflict, there is good conflict. I believe there is good conflict, because good conflict actually can highlight a problem that would have otherwise stayed hidden. So it depends on what you do with conflict. When you get to good conflict, can be good for team dynamics. It's what is good conflict? I can hear you asking, what is good conflict? Maybe a bit of healthy argument, yeah, healthy discussion, argument that never hurt anyone before. So it can be very useful. Let people talk their concerns out respectfully, in a natural way that is respectful of each other's feelings. And then, of course, celebrate failure, celebrate success. At Join Momentum, we do that a lot. There are these announcements that come up, and acknowledge the different team members for their strengths, for how they've delivered on a particular project, and how they've held themselves, carried themselves, or delivered on something. They've done something. It could be and it doesn't always have to be on a project per se. It could be the energy that somebody brings. Celebrate them for it. So yes, celebrate everything and celebrate everyone. Celebrate soft skills, celebrate technical skills or successes, and that will go a long way to building the ideal team that you seek. Now, overcoming challenges. Assume that you have all these things down packed. Is it a journey? Is it a destination? It's not a one-stop destination. It's a continuing journey. So you have to continue to cultivate. Why you have to continue to cultivate it is that people can forget and rest on their oars, and before you know it, the environment that you thought was psychologically safe, sort of adverse things are creeping into it. So what do you want to do? You want to make sure you continue to spread the knowledge, continue to emphasize why psychological safety is important. You need to continue to emphasize that you welcome anonymous and open feedback. And that's true. Feedback that we talked about doesn't always have to be a named feedback. You don't necessarily need to know who is giving the feedback. You just need to know. You just need to make sure that you encourage that feedback. And of course, then tuning and tweaking. You rinse, you repeat, you keep tuning and you keep tweaking. That is so important. So in closing, I'm just going to emphasize again that psychological safety is not something, is a prerequisite for every successful, every productive, and every effective agile team. Without psychological safety, you are going to have a place where it almost feels like the team and the team members are working against themselves. There will be no collaboration, no communication. People are afraid to speak up. People are afraid to make mistakes. Statistics have shown that cognitive diversity is needed in every team, and more especially in agile teams. It is something to be desired. It is something to be cultivated, something we should work towards. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I see it as an illuminating journey into the world of psychological safety and for creating high performance teams. I'm going to urge you to stay tuned for more thought-provoking podcasts on the Launch and Learn series. And until next time, I'm going to say, keep creating a workplace of trust, openness, and pure magic as you keep guiding your teams towards workplace excellence. Thank you.
Tired of learning job skills from textbooks? Meet Job Simulator AI. We've built the first AI platform that lets you practice real jobs in a safe, virtual environment. It's like a flight simulator, but for careers. Practice real jobs, get real proof, build a portfolio of completed simulations, earn performance badges inspired by industry leaders, showcase verified skills to employers, get instant AI feedback on your progress. For educational institutions, be among the first schools and universities to give your students practical job experience before graduation. Limited early access spots available. For businesses, sponsor industry-specific simulations to showcase your brand, build a pipeline of practice-ready talent, connect with candidates who excel in your simulations, transform employee training and reduce onboarding time. For training providers, add hands-on practice to your existing courses, differentiate your offering with AI-powered simulations, give learners verifiable proof of practical skills, scale your training impact globally. For students and job seekers, stop wondering if you're ready for that dream job. Start practicing it today. Join our early access waitlist. Ready to revolutionize job training? Sign up for early access at www.jobsimulator.ai. The future of work is hands-on. Don't just learn it, leave it.
Join Momentum Learning and Development Squad have rolled out practical work experience simulation programs and scenario-based learning on a new platform called the Growth Academy.
At the Growth Academy, you will engage in real-world simulations and complete scenario-based tasks at your own pace, which are all inspired by global brands.
With consistent practice and support, our participants gain invaluable experiences across multiple disciplines such as product management, data science, project planning, business analysis, virtual assistant, business development, technical sales, cybersecurity, and many more.
The Growth Academy programs come with AI-powered evaluations. You will receive detailed feedback assessment directly to your inbox, guiding your skill development and areas of improvement. You can also showcase your new skills expertise by ordering digital certificates, which are perfect for demonstrating your competency to employers or clients.
You will also become part of a dynamic community of professionals, sharing knowledge and supporting each other on the path to success. And we empower you to step up as a leader, coach, by reselling any of our programs as your own and earn instant income while helping others grow in their careers.
Start your journey today at www.thegrowthacademy.co.uk.